All right, so the first kind of change that we're going to talk about is this income change or a budget change. So we talked about the impact that that had on the budget constraint, right? If your income goes up, it has this parallel shift out. If your income or budget, we're going to use those interchangeably right now. Income or budget increases this parallel shift out. And we looked at when Alex's income or budget went down, it kind of shifted its way in. So let's draw out two different scenarios, and we'll talk about what happens when there's a change in budget and what that means for the goods. So let's have, again, mangoes up here and fish here. We have this budget constraint that looked something like this. And let's say that this is our indifference curve here. I mean, you just got to practice drawing these indifference curves and you'll get the hang of it. And this had this many of each of the goods, right? So this was, let's say, point A. And this is the quantity of mangoes at point A. This is the quantity of fish at point A. And let's say this is the scenario we're starting in. And let's say that our income increases, or our budget, same thing, income or budget goes up. I'm just going to draw the exact same thing over here because we're going to talk about two different situations. M and F, we have this. I'm just going to draw a slightly different shape and indifference curves. So I'm going to just do something like this. So let's say this is what I1 looks like over here. So this is QMA and QFA. And again, we're going to do an increase in income here. Okay, so an increase in income is going to cause this whole budget to have a parallel shift out, right? That's what we kind of learned about in terms of the effect of this increase in budget or income is going to have on our budget constraint. So this is the new budget constraint. And so this is going to change the optimal consumption bundle, right? So, we were on this indifference curve I1. Well, now that our budget's gone up, we can afford an indifference curve that's further away from the origin. We know we'd prefer to be on that. And so let's say we got to this indifference curve, should be around the same shape. I know it's hard to draw them perfect. So I2. And so this is QM, we'll label that point B, and has a lot of ink on it. So that's B, QMB, and this is QFB. So let's see what happened just graphically from this, based on just drawing this out and drawing these indifference curves out. We saw that the increase in income increased our consumption of both goods. So QMB, so the quantity of mangoes that we optimally purchased, was greater than QMA, so we purchased more mangoes. At the same time, our income goes up, and we purchased more fish as well. So I should do these one at a time. Let's think about what that means for the type of good that we're looking at. That means that this is a normal good. Here, mangoes are a normal good. Our income goes up, and we want more of them. Same thing with fish. Our income goes up, we want more of them. So they're both normal goods. So when our income goes up with normal goods, we purchase more of them. If our income went down and we purchase less of the good, it's a normal good as well. But let's think of a different situation over here. And again, let's say that the income goes up and we have this parallel shift out. But let's say, given the shape of these indifference curves in this one, gotta pay attention to which purple line I'm looking at. Maybe this indifference curve looks something like this. And so now our optimal consumption bundle is this point B here. Guess I forgot to label this A. And with this, the quantity of fish went up, but the quantity of mangoes went down after our income went up, right? So now, if we look down here, the quantity of mangoes at B is less than the quantity of mangoes we had at point A, even though our income went up. Well, this means that mangoes is an inferior good. Since our income went up and we actually ultimately chose to purchase less of them. Now, fish is a normal good because our income went up and we still purchased more fish. So fish is still a normal good. In fact, we can only draw one inferior good on a graph. We couldn't have two inferior goods on the same graph. So we can either have two normal, or one of the goods could be normal, one of it could be inferior. Here the inferior goods on the y-axis, but it could also be on the x-axis as well. So this is what happens when there's a income or budget change. What the optimal consumption bundle of goods will tell us whether these goods are normal or inferior. And if our income goes up and our consumption of a particular good goes down, then it's inferior. Whereas if our income goes up and we purchase more of that good, like we learned before, it's a normal good. So that's how income or budget changes work with this maximization problem. But now we can start talking about price changes. Remember, price changes are a bit more complicated because we have a total change in the amount of good, and we're trying to decompose that total change to the income and the substitution effect. So let's take a look at price changes.